You got a problem to fix and you want to get it done. Call Robert Gibb and Sons.
Hello, everybody. Meteorologist Hutch Johnson joining you, Robert Gibb and Sons, wanting you to know that if you're thinking of a commercial project, keep them in mind. They have quality equipment, quality technicians. Tell them Hutch sent you.
You got a problem to fix and you want to get it done. Call Robert Gibb and Sons.
All right, thanks for supporting Hutch's Weather right here on Facebook. Well, I'd love to have you follow me there on YouTube. I'd love to have you subscribe by hitting the subscribe button. First and foremost, severe weather does continue across the area, redeveloping in South Dakota, and a number of severe weather reports to go over as well. But here's the absolute latest with regards to the radar. We do have some storms that are exiting Lakes Country now, moving through the Brainerd-Baxter area here. A number of reports of trees down on power lines. Those storms are now working their way out toward the McGregor area. National Weather Service says these storms basically are moving east at 25 miles per hour, and they basically are expecting 60 mile per hour wind gusts still from those storms that produced an inordinate amount of damage across Lakes Country as they move through Otter Tail County on the Big Lake, Otter Tail Lake in particular. Now storms are refiring, and these are even hotter with regards to hail potential than the last round of storms. They're forming in the same exact area, south of Fargo, south of Fergus Falls, and moving off to the north and east for another round for some areas, including the Lake Traverse area, Morris, Benson, all the way in towards portions of, well, Douglas County, as well as the Sisseton area, where there's an active severe thunderstorm warning right now. Again, we already had damage reports from the first round of storms that blew through with wind gusts to 90 miles per hour measured. And during my live coverage, I was pointing out areas where winds aloft were over 100 miles per hour. Damage reported in Lakes Country, in Richland County, a few funnel cloud reports that were unconfirmed, but I'll work on that as we go through. Now, this storm, capable of sizable hail just to the south of Evelyn, moving north of Sisseton to the I-29 corridor in the Roberts County, South Dakota area. A look at the latest from the Weather Service: 1 1/4 inch diameter hail or half dollar size hail with 60 mile per hour wind gusts will be possible from this particular thunderstorm cell. Now, the latest on its motion: it's moving northeast at a tune of 20 miles per hour, and 60 mile per hour winds is going to be one of the main threats along with that hail that we talked about. Make sure that you're battening up the hatches with these storms. These are potent indeed. And this round here looks to actually be bringing a better chance of some of the hail to the area as well. So again, Lake City, the second round of storminess working its way out of your Highway 10 corridor, moving into parts of Roberts County west by the border. So mainly rural parts of the county right now. If I were going to time it out for you here, let me show you what I do know. With its motion off to the north and east and at movement at about 30 miles per hour, give or take, we're looking at it being near New Effington in 39 minutes, hammer within about 30 minutes. So that puts us right after the 5 o'clock hour by about 10 minutes. So keep that in mind, about 5:10, a chance to see some storms in and around the hammer area. Now, again, hail and gusty straight line wind will skirt just north of Sisseton. Behind this, do you see how these storms look like they're hooked to one another and they're all moving in the same direction like a train? In meteorologists, we call that training thunderstorms. Now, the rainfall amounts from these thunderstorms could get to be ridiculous on top of the morning round. And check this out. If you're in areas near Veblen, this storm's moving through now after the morning ones. This one's going to move through later, this one later, and this batch later still. So that's called training, and the rainfall amounts could get ridiculous. We're going to take a quick peek at the rainfall amounts from these storms as they've worked their way through the region. Now, this is the storm total estimates by Doppler radar. This appears to be from the radar up in the Mayville area. I'm going to tune it into the Aberdeen radar. So you can see these highly colored areas here, and hail can throw these estimates off. So let's keep that in mind. But watch this. I am going to put up here a crosshairs, and in the area of blue that you see there, that's estimating about 1.5 inches of rain for places like Clare City, where the emergency manager's report is that wind damage from the last storms caused flying debris to break windows out of homes. Now, more storms heading your way, I'm afraid, with some hail and some wind. Rainfall amounts here closer to Lake City are near 2 and 3 inches of rain. Doppler estimated rainfall amounts. So heavy rainfall with more on the way in in this training line of storms that are just getting started here. By the way, this storm now severe as well, as we look in on what the details are on that storm. Trailing up, moving between Groton and Webster, and exiting the Highway 12 area as we head into the early evening hours. So strong storms there. The National Weather Service in Aberdeen says this is moving slow, which increases the rainfall potential and the flooding potential with this particular storm. Never ever walk across flooded roadways and never ever drive across flooded roadways. Hey, thanks for watching. Drop me a comment on here. I'm going to go ahead and take a look right now and see what your reports are. Sherry, thank you for the stars. Leora says in Champlin for a few days. Appreciate that. I hope you enjoy your stay there. Brenda says, good to see you, watching from Emden. And wow, are we going to have a small relief from these hot temperatures? 70 would be great. Some areas have already seen cooling down into the 70s from these storms. So here is returning now to a look at, well, not rainfall amounts, but how about looking at the reflectivity for this second storm that's pushing its way through Pier Point, and it's heading to the north and east. This one also has some hail potential upwards of about 1 inch in diameter. So what about spin with these storms? And a couple other things that we're noticing as I go ahead and loop this over just about an hour. You'll see them kind of percolating out of the central Dakotas and Aberdeen. And you see this little line here burping out. That is an outflow boundary from the original storms that flew out here. And boom, that outflow boundary met with another and kicked off this line of storms. Copious amounts of lightning, copious amounts of rain, and severe weather potential once again. So as we drift off to the east, we do see on the Minnesota side of the river some redeveloping storms. This severe, this is in the Morris area. I'm going to pause this on the most recent scan. What you're going to see, the area of pink here, 1.25 inch diameter hail potential with wind gusts to about 50 miles per hour from this particular storm, as estimated by the National Weather Service Forecast Office in the Chanhassen area. So these storms are severe, working north of Morris in rural parts of the county. Terrible for our area producers if crops are in the way of these particular storms. And we've already had reports that corn was laid flat by some of these storms earlier today, and the wind they produce, just the wind, with even lower or less amounts of hail. All of the little icons that you see here with numbers on them are not highway signs, but those are severe wind reports across the area and wind damage from the midday storms that worked their way through into the afternoon hours. Those are now moving out through the Brainerd Lakes area and heading in toward the Mille Lacs area. Is this year unusual for many storms and tornadoes? Brenda, it is. We have not had an inordinate amount of tornadoes in our area here in the Northern Plains, but there has been nationwide a very significant amount of tornadoes this year, and it's on near record pace, if I might add, for the nation as a total. This storm that has just moved out of the Graceville area has 3 reports of large hail that have just come in. Boom, boom, boom. You see all the little light blue colors there? That's hailstone potential, and it's 1.7 plus inch hail, 1.75 inch hail in Graceville. So a little bit of a word on hail size potential, and something here that's pretty interesting. We could take a look at comparisons and what you might compare hail to. Check this out. Now, the National Weather Service likes us to report hail if we can measure it with a ruler, the largest diameter of the largest stone that you find when it's safe to do so. That's what we need. It helps us understand how strong the updrafts must have been to support hail that size. And it helps us downwind where the storm blows. Now, check this out. This is what you need to know about measuring hail. If you don't have a ruler handy, you can still take a peek at what we're expecting to see with regards to comparable things. Like a pea. Pea-sized hail is about 1/4 inch. Small marble, if you say that, is about 1/2 inch. Penny, 3/4 inch. Nickel, 8800ths. Now, when it gets big, 1 inch diameter hail is severe hail by definition, and that's the size of a quarter. So if the hailstone compares to a quarter, then it can help us understand the size of the hail. Grapefruit size hail, I mean, I like my grapefruit for breakfast, but nobody likes grapefruit size hail. And we've had some pretty big hail across the area over the past few days, including Bismarck, with 4 inch diameter hails in Lincoln, North Dakota, near the airport there. So if you're measuring, please keep in mind to measure the diameter of the largest stone, and measuring is best, but comparison really does help. So this big stone storm here, when we go back to Hutch's radar, check it out, 1 3/4 inch diameter hail. And folks, that's golf balls. So if it compares to a golf ball, well, that's big hail. So that storm is now pushing off toward the Donley area, north of Chokyo, and it's heading off to the northeast, where another storm did produce some wind damage earlier today, blowing down some tree branches on area roads. That's going to head up into parts of, looks like southern Grant County. If you're in Hoffman over here, you have a decent chance of seeing another storm with large hail potential, larger than the last one, making its way through. So areas north of Sisseton, areas east of Aberdeen, these storms are tracking to the north and east, and look where they're going, Fergus Falls. Look where they're going, Otter Tail County. Otter Tail Lake getting hit very hard from wind damage earlier today. As those storms moved over the lake, there was an estimated 80-mile-per-hour wind on the lake that just obliterated boat canopies. It destroyed 30-foot tree by snapping it at the base. It fell, deck furniture thrown all over the place, and numerous other branches and limbs down. I'm also hearing reports that out in Frazee, North Dakota, Frazee, Minnesota, rather. It's in Minnesota. It didn't move. Just Hutch's memory. All right, back into the details here. Frazee out here on the east side of the DL area. Windy storm made its way through there. Damage was reported. A machine shed was lost. Roofs and trees snapped near Eagle Lake, and the Blues campground reported by you. So thank you for sharing your reports of severe weather. Speaking of which, you can always do that on hutchesweather.com. It is my brand spanking new website. Hutchesweather.com is where you go for the latest. Now, a lot of folks do not have or use Facebook. So if you don't use Facebook actively, or if you don't use YouTube actively, you can always go to hutchesweather.com to get weather information from your good old buddy Hutch Johnson here with the latest. Now, type in the location or let us track your location, and we'll let you know of any alerts that are in your area right at the top of the page. And if there are nearby alerts, you're going to see this big banner up top. It's clear as day. And if Hutch happens to be going live like I am right now, watch this. Look at what it looks like then. Where to go? Bing. It's not on there. Let's see. Am I live? I know I'm live right now. Apparently my website is not making a notification of that right at this particular time. But indeed, I am live. Let me go ahead and put this up here in another way. Let's see. At the middle and bottom section here, you're going to see the latest videos that I've gotten and posted. And you're also going to see an area where you can upload your photos, videos, and reports. And this is a perfect place to upload your photos like the ones you see here. So if you have severe weather to report, you can do so by calling your local agencies and letting them know what kind of severe weather has passed through your area. And like we just talked about with hail, look at the tree. The diameter of the tree branches that are broken by winds is very helpful to know. So if it's a 1-foot diameter tree or an 8-inch diameter tree trunk that was snapped, that helps us understand some of the winds or estimate some of the winds. Jen, thank you for uploading your photo there. Hopefully the cleanup is going well. We have heard of numbers of areas that did get some at least brief power outages because of power lines getting hit by trees in Lakes Country. This is rural Barnesville. Kelly, thank you for uploading your photo as well. So a lot of rain and a lot more in the way of stormy weather and hail making its way across the area. So in summary, severe thunderstorm warnings do continue in South Dakota as a new round of storms is forming right here with intense hail potential moving to the north and east. Where will they go? Here's a quick look at one model's rendition of the forecast. Let's see if it's on point, shall we? Here is the latest run. This is just coming out right now. This is what you need to know. Storms are indeed firing down in northeast parts of South Dakota, rather. And those storms, this model is so new, it's only got one frame that's come in. So we're going to go back one model run. Okay, as we take a look at this, the storms out in central Minnesota exit east. The models do have storms firing in the eastern third of the North Dakota area and right along the South Dakota-Minnesota border, right where we're seeing these. Not quite as intense with regards to the formation of those storms. And it does have them trucking through Lakes Country, Otter Tail County, and down into southern Minnesota. Watch their movement now as they're carried off to the east. These look like windy storms in the late night and overnight hours that could persist in southern Minnesota, but they're all firing off right now, as you see on the radar screen here in parts of eastern South Dakota. All right, very good. I got to tell you, the storms are going to continue to rumble off to the east, the largest hail producer right here with a history of almost 2-inch diameter hail. And this is moving right into the areas north of Morris as we speak. And that hail, it looks to be heading right toward the Donley area and heading in toward Hoffman in the upcoming hour. If you have severe weather to report, please do so to your local authorities. They pass that information along to the National Weather Service. If you've uploaded videos or photos to hutchesweather.com, I'll get them here and share them with folks and the National Weather Service as well. But for now, I am meteorologist Hutch Johnson joining you. You are watching Hutch's Weather. I would love to have you check in on my new website. Drop comments in the section below and let me know what you think. And if you have any ideas at all, you help build Hutch's Weather. Have a wonderful afternoon. And until next time, as always, please stay tuned and stay safe.